organization started in 1995. And the purpose of the agency was to serve the Latino migrant farm worker community that was beginning to grow all of a sudden, and the community itself was not prepared for the influx of this population. Southeast Georgia Communities Project developed into help with the language link and access to healthcare services and services in general for the population. LaRED has been a program also that has been funded roughly probably about 6 years now. We have been very successful in educating our Latino diabetics on better eating habits. We haven't been able to change their way of eating, but we have been able to educate them on how to eat healthier. We tend to like fried mojarra, which is fried brim, and that's the only way we eat it. So our idea is to help our diabetics eat fish in a different way. I've kind of grown a really good taste to it, and I feel like if I'm going to introduce anything to my diabetics, that I'm going to suggest. Plus I like the way it's packaged, and I like the way it's big enough for a family unit. So guess what? The kids get to taste fish. It's just the basic tomato, jalapeno, onion, and a little bit of cilantro, because I want it to be a soup. Just a soup, and then my tilapia comes in at last because it cooks really quick. And it's wonderful when you enjoy it with some crackers, so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to try to see if we could make some tilapia soup. And
it sounds good to me.
Even before we started working with our diabetics in the community, one of the things that I noticed is that not even my family ate fish in a healthy way. Many years ago, I married a guy from Veracruz, and if there's anybody that eats seafood, it's people from Veracruz, Mexico. And I learned, on the coast. So I learned a lot of things about seafood that I didn't know before, and because my children were not really introduced to the fish, I was not cooking it for them, but I started cooking it for my husband. It's got low saturated fats, and we want them to know that it's very pleasing when you prepare it a good, healthy way. What can we do to help these families understand that it's okay for them to eat what they're eating? Let's just learn to prepare it differently. We're not trying to change the way they eat because we don't want to lose that culture and that good cooking, but we want them to at least attempt to cook healthier. I'm going to tell you right now that within the community that we serve, there has to be a diabetic. In every 3 families, there is a diabetic. And that should tell you where we are at with this. Try to eat, with your fork and your spoon, which we as Latinos do very little of. Using utensils are not really something in our culture. In reality, when you're able to pick up the food with your tortilla, that's what we're going to use. Because my soup does not have a lot of vegetable in it, the idea is to make sure that there's, enough of this to make the soup enjoyable, because you want to be able to pick something else up other than the tilapia.
But these are good, strong flavors.
Oh,
you
yes,
don't need a
very,
lot
very strong. And if you notice, this is something very common in a Latino diet. In many ways, salsas, Pico de Gallo,
that combination. Yeah, this combination right here is kind of like they call it the Holy Trinity in New Orleans. Do you want me to cut anything up, or are you good?
You're welcome to try helping me cut these peppers, which I'm very weary of cutting on myself because of my contacts. I won't be able to put my fingers on my eyes anymore.
I got you, jalapeno.
And I'm probably going to cut only one, so it won't be too hot.
Now, do you want it diced?
Diced, yes, I want them diced.
Okay.
Maybe cut up in, like if you 4 slice, and then you just dice them up.
Okay. It'll get you.
Yes, it will.
It'll get you an hour later, even after you wash your hands and mess with your eyes and all. Andre, you take this stuff out.
Yes, I do. Yes, oh yes.
Because this is the hot stuff.
Because you're going to taste, and we don't want you turning red, okay?
And some of my friends probably wouldn't be turning red, because that's the only color I turn. Even when I'm out in the sun, I only turn red. So.
want to make sure that we cut up our onions at least size, bite size, not too tiny.
Because they'll disintegrate on
Yeah, so we won't lose them in the water.
But we're not going to lose these jalapenos.
No.
What about wild game in, let's just say, well, South and Central America? Is there much wild game that people eat?
Yes, there are different parts of the region. For example, there's areas in Mexico where you find the deer. In the area where my husband, I married for a second time with another Mexican American or Mexican national who is from Zacatecas, and you don't see deer in Zacatecas, but you see wild rabbit.
Okay.
They call them ratas. To us, those are rats, and we were not going to eat a rat, but they're wild rabbits, and they eat that in
Well, you
soups.
know, and a lot
all
of people
kinds
eat
of-
squirrel, and really squirrel is rat. It is. And but deer, I'm glad you said that because deer meat is so healthy for. If you're talking about a diabetic-friendly diet,
Yeah.
deer meat is incredibly low in fat, so it's a good alternative if you have access to it.
In this county, I have 60. And I have Appling County, Bexley, I have 7. And then I have Metter, Candler County. There's 10 more people over there. In Emmanuel County, I have 6. It has potatoes, carrots, cabbage, cilantro, celery.
Chicken is good when it's cold and you want something hot in your stomach. Oh, this is the best.
When you have bad colds,
When you're sick.
your body hurts, or you
The
just
best
want
medicine.
chicken.
My grandma, when I was sick, she used to cook chicken all the time. Chicken.
My mother, she was from Mexico, from Celaya, Mexico. And my father, he was born and raised here in the United States, in Texas.
Back in the days, we used to live in a ranch, and my grandma had chickens, rabbits, everything.
I don't have no brothers or sisters. I was raised in an orphanage when my mother passed away.
And we used to go to the stores only once a week, like on Saturdays. But we had everything. We had eggs, vegetables. And I remember my grandma used to say, "Go get me this from outside. Go get the carrots. Go get the everything to make the caldo." And that's how I was raised. And now that I have my kids, they know how to do caldo de pollo. And when they're sick, that's what we eat. Like when there's I have a grandbaby. He's 6 months old, and we're already introducing to the caldo de pollo.
I'd want you to put it in my bottle if I was.
Now I'm gonna put all the vegetables in with the chicken, so they can boil. I put the potatoes and the carrots because they're hard. So the calabacita, I had to wait until it's almost done.
Oh yeah, because
Because
those do get mushy
it only
quick
took
on
like
it.
5-10 minutes to cook.
The chicken soup, you eat it with a bowl of rice, but I didn't put rice on it because when I try to tell the people eat at least something, because they always complain that the vegetables, they're too expensive. So I try to tell them eat a little bit of chicken, a leg or a breast, something, just cook it and eat it, the soup, the caldito, but don't eat the rice.
I did the beef and bean burrito, and it's different the way I cook the meat because I use the canola oil. Well, today I used the olive oil, but I usually use the canola oil. And anybody else in my family would use oil or lard for the beans and the meat, and I didn't. But my mother would cook beans all the time.
Because we can just get them. Is that why?
Yes, I'll just buy the can.
Okay. You can actually get them in the can fat-free or virtually
Yes.
fat-free.
You can. And I added adobo also, the seasoning, for it to have a taste. We talk about diets. We talk about how their sugar level should be, normal. what they can and cannot eat, and the different stuff they can do, because they can do practically anything, but it's limited. So I'm learning on that too. My paternal grandfather last year found out he had diabetes and he had to get a leg amputated. It caused real serious health diseases, and you want to control with your healthy lifestyle. My mother owns her own Mexican restaurant, and it's authentic. So I didn't learn there. I learned until I was married, and but most of the things that I know how to cook, I learned them from watching them, the cooks and my mom.
Yeah. Does she make those?
She does. They do burritos, and this is what they use. They make smaller ones for tacos, but
That is a burrito.
it is. But we do eat flour tortillas in our family, and it's when you have diabetes, it's limited to 1 or 2. Which today I had a big one, and that is enough for 2 people, or 3 or 4, however you want to cut that up.
Look at him.
The healthiest
see that.
thing would use I would have used a wheat tortilla, but they're not handmade.
And you're just warming it up. That's all
yeah.
you're doing.
Because I don't know how to make these either.
Well, I'm sure that there's a specific technique to that. But
It's really hard because some rip. Now I'm going to spread my beans over the cheese.
You believe that she don't know how to roll the burrito?
I did it
it
wrong.
looks like you're doing just fine to me.
I
That's
did
how
it
roll
wrong. I do help when they prepare them at my mom's restaurant, and it's much easier than this. The most important thing is that you can eat anything long as it's limited, because we have our tradition of eating tortillas and stuff, and beans and rice with every meal. So you can eat that, but in a portion size. And that's something Latinos don't do.
We had to face diabetes with our mother very young in life, and we were the persons who showed her how to inject herself with her insulin. We were the ones that would talk to her about what she needed to eat, what she needed to stay away from. And we were the ones that had to carry her to the hospital, of course, when she got sick, because her sugar was out of whack or whatever. This is actually a Vidalia sweet onion. We have these other onions. I think they're more like Spanish onions, but this is a Vidalia onion. And when I cut it, it just started, weeping, because they're so rich in sugar and they've got so much water in them that when they bake, everything just comes out and it tastes good.
So you're going to roast them.
Yes. What I do is we just cut them, not all the way down, just about halfway. Cut them in quarters. There is only 3 of our siblings that are not diabetics. The rest of us are all diabetics. So, we have diabetes throughout our family. Here's the butter. You work with people, you respect them, and you give them education in a manner where sometimes they don't even realize you're educating them, and that works. Put some adobo on it. I was gonna put some chipotle, but I didn't go and get it where they had it, so this works just as good. This is adobo seasoning. Being a diabetic is very hard. It's one of the hardest things that I've ever had to deal with. The fact that we have to take medication and, watch our diet is just... So, it's really hard. It's really hard to... And LaRED is a good program. We have very good educators. All of the girls that work with LaRED are wonderful. Take it, we put it in the middle of the paper. Oh, I forgot my garlic. I have to put garlic on it. I love onions, and they were Vidalia sweet onions. And those onions are great on the grill. And they're very low cal. You saw when we opened it up, the butter's all on the bottom. You don't even have to eat it. You just take the onion and eat what's there, and it's really good. I'm going to be making pan de elote, which is fresh cornbread, and it is a traditional dish We'd run out to the cornfield and get our corn and help take it off the cob and everything. And that was something that's a taste that I'll never forget. I'm going to substitute some of the items that I'm going to put in the pan de elote to make it less, the calorie intake a lot less, and it'll be a lot, better for a diabetic patient to eat. So we're going to put it in the blender. I just love them,
Did your mama teach you how to cook?
Yes, yes. My mother was a very good cook, and she taught all of us. By the time we were about 12 years old, we knew how to cook already. And we had to do our part and help the family. And this is time consuming, but the finished product is so good that it makes it worthwhile. Perfect. It was really good, and I changed the recipe a little bit. I didn't add any sugar, and I added the diet butter that we call it, that is lower in saturated fats and all that. So this recipe calls for sugar, but since we were going to make it diabetic friendly, we will put no sugar in it. The natural taste of the corn and the other ingredients will make it just as tasty. 1 teaspoon of baking powder. We add 2 cups of the Bisquick. We are going to put in the butter. Put 2 eggs in. If you can see as you're mixing it, the yellow of the egg gives it a little bit more color. Of course, when you get married when you're 17 and you start having children when you're 20, you have to cook. It's just a must, so. And this is canola oil, non-stick spray. You pour it into your pan that's been sprayed with non-stick spray. Okay, we put it in our preheated oven and we bake it for 40 minutes. And that's why I wanted to start this, because it takes a while. Of course, I will never perfect it because they made perfect, pan de elote, we call it, cornbread. But today's was pretty good.
For the chicken fajitas, all I did was put the lemon and the cumin, and we're gonna let it marinate for about 45 minutes to an hour in the refrigerator. And then before, it was everything in oil. Everything was lots of fat, and I would always honestly put more meat than vegetables and the bell pepper and the onion and stuff. And now it's a little bit more healthier, and I don't use no oil or anything. I use the spray or the olive oil. And like I say, it's healthier. And I add spices to give it a little bit of more home-cooked flavor, because everything that's boiled is just like that is bland. It has no taste. So I'm starting to add and take and put here and put there to fix it, to adjust it so it has flavor to it. I'm just going to start slicing the onion and the bell pepper for the chicken fajitas. Because before this job, I used to work at East Georgia and Healthcare Center, and back then didn't have a lot of doctors and nurse practitioners there, so it was only like 1 nurse practitioner and the doctor in and out. So I got to go in a lot with the nurse and interpret for her and see the stuff that went on, the problems, the ulcers on their feet. And, and back then I wasn't really monitoring my sugar. I was on my medication, but it wasn't like important to me. At least I didn't think so. But then when I started going in the room with them and seeing what was going on, I think honestly that's when I started taking a little bit more concern about it, when I said, oh my God, that's going to be me. My mom taught me how to cook the wrong way. So now I'm learning how to cook the right way. Just spray down your pan. Maybe on myself. There's the onion. My sangria.
And it's good for diabetic because the sugar is natural from the fruits.
This is a recipe for 6 or 8 ounces each. So there's the juice of 2 oranges and 2 lemons,
And it really is important for them to be fresh, for this to be fresh, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. And the white grape juice, 2 cups. And it was gonna be with sparkling water, but Corina didn't find the sparkling water, so she brought me Canada Dry, but it's the same. So I'm gonna add three cups.
My son, 11 years old, last year diabetic, and hard learning from it.
It's very important, not only for diabetic people, but for everybody, so we can stay healthy.
This is almost cooked, so we're gonna add the chicken and some cilantro.
To mix the flavor, and I'm gonna put 1 orange slice and 1 lemon. And the sangria is refreshing and fresh.
Refreshing fresh.
Refreshing fresh. Then when Marilu finished, I'm gonna put the ice. It's made out of fresh fruits and without the alcohol and all the sugar and carbohydrates.
Since my son got ill, it's like, I don't care if you don't like it, don't eat. We're making this and you're eating it and that's it.
This is a Pico de Gallo.
Okay.
There was another lady that she was gonna come and do it, but she's not here, so we're gonna do it.
For this, we use cilantro, onion, avocado, tomato, and jalapeno pepper.
No. Now what I need is a deep freezer because now I buy frozen vegetables, frozen everything. Now I try to avoid any canned food. The only thing canned now is like tuna, but other than that, everything else is frozen. And I'm starting to learn what to do, what to cook, and trying to.
Would you like the choppy chop? You don't want to chop these jalapenos, do you?
No. I'm pretty good at it though.
I hear you're good at it.
I remember growing up,
You're good at it.
we had an opportunity to have all kinds of vegetables as farm workers. You know, everywhere we worked, we would, have either bell pepper, we'd have eggplant, we'd have carrots, we'd have all kinds of vegetables. Even fresh strawberries from Plant City, because we used to work in that area. And it was really nice to bring these kind of vegetables and these fruits, home, where we could afford to eat them, Because that's one of the things that we see now with our diabetics, them being unable to afford to buy fresh fruits and vegetables.
That is a huge problem.
Southeast Georgia Communities Project, along with McIntosh Seed and Heifer International, is who are supporting the project, are looking to start a garden, a community garden, that will allow us to bring vegetables to the homes of a lot of these diabetics. Another supporter that we have, a recent supporter that we have for this project, is the Girl Scouts of Coastal Georgia. The Girl Scouts of Coastal Georgia and the USDA, Agricultural Department of Agriculture, who are also sponsoring our project. So, this cooking class really comes a long way. And of course, it wouldn't happen if Georgia Southern University would not be part of the system, because this is the only way we would be able to do something like this. We have to keep being culturally sensitive so we can be able to reach the community. Because when you tell a Hispanic or a Latino that they have diabetes, they think the world is coming to an end. And it really, I think they get sick more, because they're thinking it's such a bad disease that they can't get over. They can't get over the fact that they've been diagnosed. So they start getting sicker because they're just thinking that they're doomed. We're seeing children, and we didn't used to have that. So, it's becoming a very scary situation. I guess right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put some of the cilantro in there. It brings out tastes that I never knew existed. I'm fixing to transfer what I have just sauteed into the pot of water, where I'm going to drop in my tilapia. This is going to give the flavoring to the water, and then when I put in my tilapia, it'll flavor up the tilapia.
You're kind of deglazing the pan a little bit.
Yes. Just bring it to a boil, just a little boil, and now we're going to drop in our tilapia. Okay, and this will cook in a minute or two. It doesn't take a long time to cook tilapia. Probably about 5. I give it 5 to 6 minutes. so it can cook good, and this will be ready to serve. And I find that saltine crackers are it. That's what we need. So I brought some saltine crackers so you guys could taste.
I'm going to scoot behind y'all because I forgot to do the most important thing, and when I just touched my mouth, I realized.
Oh my God!
I mean, I like jalapenos.
Jalapeno. Okay. All right. And I will just let it sit and cook. We want to make sure that we help our families at least have a chance at life.
Yes, I forget that every jalapeno doesn't grow the same. And every time I go to,
And
tell me that again?
the Jalapa, Veracruz, Mexico, is originally named by the jalapeno that's grown in that region. They grow humongous jalapenos. I mean, not that big, but I mean, they are huge. You can actually take them, seed them, take the seed out, and stuff them. They stuff them with cheese. Like you do like the stuffed peppers here, poppers, the jalapeno poppers. They are off the chain, let me tell y'all.
I've been on the grill too.
Oh, they are just incredible, incredible.
And is the name, the place name, does that mean?
When it was explained to me, it was explained that the reason they name it Jalapa is because that's one of the biggest crops in that region.
Oh, the name is Jalapa.
Yeah. Jalapa is the name of Veracruz. Jalapa, Veracruz. You know, one of the things that we find within our culture is that our children, at a very, very young age, and I must say the Mexican children from Mexico, and I don't know if it's like that in Honduras or anywhere else, they start eating hot products at a very small age. I mean, just the tamarind seed candy is a little hot, a little spicy. The lollipops that you buy, they're dipped in pepper, you know, in like chili pepper. That's hot. So the kids at a very young, when I mean young, I've got little nephews that are only a year old and they're walking around with a lollipop going, because it's hot, because it's a little hot, or spicy, should I say. You know, the sweet is in the middle, but the spicy is on the outside. Finished? With a sangria. I might let her bring her little burrito over here because it looks so pretty.
This is beautiful.
Perfect. We're just wanting her to show her burrito.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And the bread. Wow.
Am I interviewing everybody?
Aquí, mija,
Not me.
Oh, yeah, okay. Las fajitas?
Yeah.
Sí, para que se vean.
I'm just going to let this tape run out.
Oh, it's beautiful. That looks good, Sandra. Yes.
Are you going to tape us eating it or what?
Over here.
Yeah.
Expose you.
Oh my God.
That is fresh Pico de Gallo. Look at this. Will, come here. See that shot? That's what I'm talking about.
Well, I came in here and you're doing my chop and chop.
I am. Would you like the choppy chop? You don't want to chop these jalapenos, do you?
No. I'm pretty good at it, though.
I hear you're good at it.
I thought Taco Bell was that until I tasted the food and I was like, no, not Taco Bell.
I never really before thought that to be authentic Mexican cuisine, but that was, I guess, what most people would perceive as close to the real thing, but after seeing what they made today is vastly different.
Oh, I guess this is my first encounter with authentic Latino dishes, but I like them.
It's great to have a real meal for once, because it's been a while.
Being African American, I know diabetes is something prominent because 9 out of 10 people in my family have diabetes. So to learn that, it's also something in the Latino community, it was like it bridged the gap for me.